Hey Will, it's David Olkowetsky with ArtisanRevere. I wanted to say thank you so much for the awesome article last year during our Kickstarter campaign. It helped a ton. And then also, thank you for letting me do a little bit of guest writing. So the purpose of this video is twofold. Normally it's threefold, but today it's just twofold. So first I'd like to tell folks about ArtisanRevere a little bit, and then I go through the 8 steps to maintaining an amazing knife, which obviously you're familiar with. So we'll cut that part out, and then we're gonna go to the third part, which is just a quick QC inspection on your new 3.4-inch black midnight paring knife. So before I get too deep in the story part, I just want to do a quick magazine test just so you can see. This is your knife. I can almost not even hear the paper getting cut. That's how sharp it is. We're gonna do that again a little bit later, but I just wanted to give you a taste right now. So actually, you know what? I can put all this stuff away since well, whatever. We'll leave it for now. So a little bit about us. I started this company 2.5 years ago. The idea was to significantly elevate today's cutlery. At first, I didn't really know what that meant. You know, to me, it was basically like, I'll just do the Harry's razor blade model. We'll cut the price by 50% relative to Gillette, or in this case, Wusthof and Henkel's and Global, etc. And you know, we'll make a product that's basically the same thing. Just going to have it, you know, have some great branding. Well, my expertise is definitely not in branding. My expertise is in precision. My expertise is in being incredibly demanding of the people that work for me. So I leaned into that. And you know, I don't know if you know, but I spent 10 years as a metals researcher, and something I'm pretty good at is getting information and then figuring out how to use that information. So when I started this company, I went on a long journey, and that included there were a lot of phone calls and a lot of debates with metallurgists, knife makers, machinists. And I'll tell you, I didn't start with a huge amount of knowledge. Even though I was a steel analyst, this, you know, LMAX is a very, very particular type of steel. You know, of course I could read a data sheet, but you know, it's a lot more than that. So, you know, over time, I kind of cobbled together a really strong network of specialists within the industry. And my goal was to acquire their primary knowledge, like the main things that each of them knew, and to filter that into one incredible product. So the idea was to find all the different stakeholders, i.e. the metallurgists, the knife makers, the users, right? The chefs, the practitioners, the home cooks, and get as much feedback as I possibly could. And also for myself to go and check out all of the competition. So I spent a lot of time inspecting, a lot of time and a lot of money inspecting blades from all of the big box stores, and then of course a lot of the import Japanese cutlery stores as well. And that led me down a path that was very different than what I initially expected. So I realized there was no possible way I could make a supremely high quality knife in the United States that would be exponentially superior to others at a fraction of the price. It's just not possible. My steel cost alone is between 20 and 30 times that of my German competitors and Japanese competitors. So you know, we sort of put our thinking caps on and realized we spent time thinking about, like, what is the actual goal? And to me, the number one goal is to completely elevate the experience of cutlery. We want it to be a lot sharper. We want it to have a much improved cutting ability. That means how easily it moves through food, which is actually quite different from sharpness. We want it to have superb edge retention, meaning the blades stay sharp for a long period of time. That's based on wear resistance. It's also based on toughness. And then on the toughness angle, we want to make sure that our blades aren't going to chip out, right? So there's a tremendous amount of experimentation and iteration that goes into the geometry of the blade, of the edge, excuse me, prior to, locking, or as we refer to it, freezing. So after all that experimentation, after all that, after that inquisition or inquiry, I suppose, and the learning, and believe me, it's still going on. I have a weekly call with probably the world's, he is the 5-time world blade sport champion. He also happens to be one of the world's best knife and sword makers. We have a weekly call, and I speak with my guys at Peter's Heat Treat probably once a month. And the rest of the chain, actually even more frequently than that. So all that to say, what I realized is we needed to marry technology and craftsmanship in order to achieve my goal of a superior product, right? So the technology is the steel, the technology is the heat treat, the technology is the $1 million Siepmann grinder that's sitting in Michigan that does our bevel grind. The technology is our aerospace quality, or aerospace grade, surface grinding equipment in Pennsylvania that can get a tolerance, and this is not an exaggeration, not of 1 thou, but of 1/10,000th of a thou, okay? And just so you have a sense for what that means, a human hair is 3/1000ths of an inch thick, okay? This is 1/10,000th of a human hair, of a thousandth of an inch. So the precision is absolutely mind-boggling. So that was the technology part, and then we needed to marry that with really skilled craftsmen. So like that bevel grinding machine that's sitting in Michigan, that Siepmann grinder, you need a really skilled engineer to work that, and we have it. Luckily, we've got two brothers who are engineers by training, and their dad who run this business, and then in Idaho we've got our craftsmen. We've got guys who, you know our edge. You're gonna get this paring knife. You saw what it just did to this magazine paper that can put on an insane edge, that can get to within 2 thou by hand shaping our handles. All of our handles are completely the profile is cut out, and then it's completely hand done after that. What they do is mind-boggling, and I'm like so blessed that I work with guys that are such high integrity and so skilled. So I think we're there. I think we've married that amazing technology with that craftsmanship, and I think together we've combined the two to make this superb product. So that's a little bit about our process. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this paring knife, which I am obsessed with. Of course I am. It's my company, but like if I wasn't obsessed with it, I would not be putting it out. So the most important thing in a paring knife is that it be comfortable. That is by far the most important thing. And I have yet to find a paring knife other than this one that is comfortable. And the reason is not a single paring knife that I can find in any big box store or any Japanese store does a good job with the choil. That's this area behind the heel in front of the handle, okay? This little curvature, this finger guard, you might call it. It took us so many tries to get this curvature and this radius right. If we had extended the radius and made it a little bit like less of, it's almost a 90-degree angle. If we had made it like say 45 degrees, you would not feel comfortable holding your finger here, hooking your finger here, and then coring an apple or hulling a strawberry, because you would be sliding down this choil and you would slice your finger open. Or the other alternative, which we see on a lot of the other blades, there's basically three. One is just a pure, sharp 90-degree angle on a typically short, this is referred to as the height up and down, typically short blade. You can't latch behind it. You're uncomfortable. The edge is digging into your finger. You're almost guaranteed to be bleeding. And the third option is you've got a bolster there, and then you can't choke up on it. So that's probably that lack of ergonomics is, in my view, the reason that paring knives, you know, most chefs say like it's their number 2 knife. They almost never use it. And the reason they almost never use it is because it's uncomfortable. And so we're trying to break that. Obviously, it's got a screaming sharp edge on it. Obviously, we spend a lot of time making sure the handle is incredibly smooth and super, super comfortable in your hand. You know, that's a little bit about the paring knife. It also uses Elmax steel. The blade is 3.4 inches in length. The weight, remember that we're doing this by hand, and there's slight variation in the density of the different types of Richlight, which came as kind of a surprise to me. I didn't realize it, but it's fairly minor. So all of our paring knives weigh between 63 and 67 grams. Let's just weigh this little guy. I'm in pounds. 60, wait, is that right? Yep, 64 grams, perfect. So you're right in there in the tolerance. Obviously, each of our knives comes with a leather sheath. And I think that's pretty much it on the blade. It's Elmax, as you know, super tough, meaning it is really, really resistant to chips. It's also incredibly high edge retention. So this is heat treated to 61, 62. This is gonna stay sharp for a really long time. It also works great as an outdoors knife. I've used it out in the, well, I moved to California. I don't know, I'm not sure if I mentioned. You know, we take this up with us hiking. I use it sometimes to replace my neck knife. But anyways, yeah, so let's jump into the QC. So first of all, I'm gonna just do a quick, I'm gonna just inspect to make sure that the pins, these are the pins, are flush with the handle. They are. I'm gonna do a visual inspection, make sure that there's no gaps between the scales and the epoxy. I'm gonna feel physically just to make sure my tactile response tells me the same thing. It does. The handle is super smooth. It's oiled, but I'm going to re-oil it. I'm going to re-clean it before I send it out to you, of course. With a paring knife, you want no flex in the tip. Good. We want to make sure that the spine is nice and soft. It is. We want to make sure that the choil, that's this area here, is nice and soft. It is. Paring knives should not be balanced. Obviously, they're going to be handle heavy. There's just not enough blade for it to be balanced. But we want to make sure that it's comfortable. And that just means that you can hook your finger under here and slide it down like this and not worry about cutting yourself, which I'm not worried at all. And hopefully neither will you be. And I imagine none of our customers will be either. We've tested it already fairly extensively. We're going to do a quick fingernail check for chips. We're going to check, make sure it's going to grip my digit a little bit, and it is super. We'll do another magazine test just for fun. And then I'm going to just visually inspect the grind and I just caught myself, and the straightness. Perfect. You have a very fine piece of cutlery coming to you. I'm really excited to get it into your hands. And again, I just want to say thank you. Sincerely, my team and I, we really appreciate it. It means the world to us that you like the product. It means the world to us that you're willing to write about the product. It helps. It really helps. You know, for a small business like us, it makes a huge difference. I share all the articles with my guys. I think I'm going to mention that, but yeah, they get very excited when they see it. So do I. For just so you know, I get super excited. Obviously, I owe you an article on Nomad Lane. I promise it's coming. I'm sorry, I'm so busy, but I'm going to do it. Hopefully, it's going to be good. Hopefully, you won't have to do too much editing. And then I've got a few other pieces that are kind of in the works, and maybe we can do a co-writing again. So again, thank you. Have a good one. Cheers.